Today I'm going to be doing a balayage and highlight technique. It's going to be a full foil, but nothing too crazy, just enough to break up all this dark. So how to determine the placement of foils is definitely something that comes with experience, but one question I'd like to ask people who are going blonde is, if they have some sort of a pop around the front of their hairline, do they also want to feel that on the underneath when they pull it forward? So people who wear their hair, kind of like pulling it all to the front, they may want to see more blonde on the underneath, or if they wear their hair up a lot, they may want it to kind of resemble more of what the front looks like. That's not something that everyone has to do, but I always like to make sure of what they want that section to look like if you're doing a full. So with that being said, she wanted, sort of that pop feeling even in the back, but we are going to start spreading them out after this. But for the first 3 foils, I'm going to put them not exactly back to back where there's nothing in between, but as you can see, it's a very small section. I'm slicing off of that and then weaving off of the slice, and then this is going to go all the way up to the root just like a regular highlight. One rule of thumb that we use a lot is if you're holding up a strand of hair that you're about to foil and you would have a hard time reading words if you put them behind it, like if you put up a newspaper behind it, would you be able to read through your section? If you feel like it's too thick for that, consider going a little bit thinner, especially if you're going all the way to the root like this, because you do not want it to look stripy. Another reason to consider just the thinness of your section is just making sure your saturation is good. The thicker you go, the harder it is to get it saturated, the more blotchy it can look. The heat isn't distributed as evenly. So that's another reason we really want to keep our sections really thin. And if you have a situation where you need more of a chunky look or more of a pop all the way to the top, I would recommend doing this, but doing another one right behind it, back to back. So keeping them thin, but doing more of them. And if you'll notice, that last one had a little bit more hair in between.
Take it off.
In her case, I'm going to, because a lot of this is blonde. Now, realize how thin it still is, though,
yes,
even with all of that. So it's not like I'm taking this chunky piece. If it was any fuller than that, I would weave it.
Okay.
Plus I was having no hair, fun hair.
Well, I mean, and this is the very bottom, so it's even more so. Okay, so this was my last one in the tip out piece. I did the same thing on this side, and then I did one foil about an inch higher. So on this side, I'm gonna go about an inch higher and just kind of meet that one I did over there. I'll tell you the story in a second, Bria. Okay. And then I'm gonna weave, and then I'm gonna do this. So like I said, the rest of the way up, I'm going to be doing just a regular balayage. I'm spreading them out about an inch, and I'm just kind of working up diagonally all the way until I get kind of this V section at the top of her head, in which I'm not going to be putting any more foils of that because I want there to be some of her natural kind of overlaying the section. Okay, so what I've done so far would really be hidden until she curled it. So I would like to see just a few little pops. And if I were to tip out, I want to be careful if someone has a lot of layering to tip out on this top layer, because then it will hit like a shell. Unless all of this was blonde, but it's not. But hers actually almost meets the bottom, so I don't have to be too careful about that. But I'm still gonna kind of take this top section. I'm just gonna weave it out with my fingers and clip that away because I don't want it to be on the very top. So I'm gonna take this as my tip out section. Oh, wow, okay.
Alrighty.
And then I'm going to like literally so lightly go in here and weave off the top of this section. Okay, I went all the way across, and I'm gonna tease that up really good. So we still got like a pretty thin section of hair. And I am going mostly on tip out pieces, like I keep it lower than the rest of those balayage pieces. So it's really just about making those ends feel a little brighter. Okay, this piece right here is a tiny bit thicker than what I've been doing. So I'm going to just make sure I feel really good about the saturation right here. And then I am going to kind of feather this up. And when I'm feathering up, I want to be really careful not to go in a perfectly straight line. So some of them I'm going to take up a little higher. And then if I go past the foil right here a little bit, I'll kind of unfold that just to make sure it's all in the foil and insulated. Okay, so starting my hairline on this side, I'm going to take a super thin section that I can weave right off of. And most of that's going to go into the foil. A little bit of it will be left out. But it needs to be super thin because one thing most people like about their hairline is they want it to look seamless. The thicker you go around the hairline, the more you're going to see the separation from where the foil hit and where you applied it. So we definitely want it to be very seamless. Of course, lift as well, but doing more foils with smaller sections is going to be key here. So the second one, I am going basically back to back. So I did a slice and now I'm weaving off of that. And for her hair, she had old blonde, but it is maybe like a level 8. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's pretty dark. So I did 20 volume on the roots, and then that's why I'm kind of applying something different on the ends. So I applied 10 volume to her ends. So on this next section, I'm going to go ahead and spread it out just a tiny, tiny bit more. So it's not right on top of that. So I'm going to need to slice, and then I'm going to weave off of this slice right here. And I'm going to go ahead and make this one a balayage piece because I'm going to start working into more of that like feathered look behind this because I don't want it to just be a super chunky section all the way to the root. This look, although it is sort of a money piece, it is still like a quote-unquote lived-in look, so it still needs to have that appearance of natural, I guess, although the front is going to be very, very blonde. When I'm doing two separate developers like I am in this, I'm going to fold the first one up like that, so that way when I fold it all the way to the top, you're not mixing the 10 and the 20 developers, or it kind of like defeats the purpose. Okay, so then I have the same thing going on the other side, and this is not the side that she parts on, but I'm going to do a little connecting foil right here because if I do nothing, when she wears her hair back, she'll have like this dark little shadow on the side that she doesn't part her hair, and it'll look very odd if her hair goes back. So again, taking just a tiny little section that I'm just weaving off of that first part. Same thing, 20 volume on the roots, 20 on the ends, folding that up just like I have the other sections. Now I'm going to go ahead and do one more behind it just because she does have like a little bit of I wouldn't say it's a thick money piece, but it's definitely a money piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one behind this, but still just keeping it super thin. And I think I just do this as a highlight again, we'll see. But, same thing, just like keeping them thin. There was a little bit of hair in between it, so I sliced off of that section and then weaved it. And then, same thing, just 20 again on the roots, which I may pull down through the ends if it's dark enough. But I just wanted to make sure that her blonde was as healthy as possible. So always think about what developer you want to use when you have to overlap your blonde. And now we're going to go to the actual money piece. So this is where she parts. If she were to part in the middle, I would obviously shift it over a little bit, but she always parts on this side. So I want to make sure this is the most important part. So I'm starting out just like I did all the other ones, just a regular highlight weaved out to the scalp, 20 volume, then 10 on the ends. And then I'm going to go right behind that one basically and Well, let's see what I do really quick. Yeah, I believe this one is going to be back to back. Yes, so basically taking just as much hair as you need to weave it on that next one. And so the more you do this without anything in between except what you weave out, it's going to get thicker and thicker. So just be aware of that. Okay, so on this next section, I still want it to be really close together. I still want it to be all the way to the top, but I'm going to just put the tiniest little bit of hair in between before I slice it. So I'm going to clip that away, and then I'm going to slice off the top of this. And sometimes it does take you a second. Make sure you got your section clean. So I'm going to slice a very thin little section off the top, and then I'm going to weave off of that. And then this is going to go into my foil just like a regular highlight like the other two have. She has her old money piece here, so I need to make sure I go up enough to break that up. But then also, like, I'm going to be tipping out, and then I'm going to be spreading it out behind that. Okay. So I'll do, like, maybe another pretty close together, but I'm going to slice off of this section and weave. Okay. And then I'm going to do that until I feel like this is going to be blended enough, and then I'm going to tip all of this out because this is not blonde enough. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to pick out what is dark mostly and clip that back. Okay. And then I'm going to take all of, well, there's still a little bit there. Let me get that out of the way. Okay.
And because it's so thin, you're not even going to wheeze it?
No.
Wheeze it?
Yeah, I'm not going to wheeze it. This piece is also dark, so I'm not even worried. I'm just trying to get all this lighter. Yep. Okay.
Are you going to feather up higher?
Okay, Mary was asking if I was going to feather up higher on this one, and I think her brain is saying if you don't feather up higher on this one, there's going to be this like middle section of blonde that isn't blonde enough. So yes, I am going to feather up on this one into those other foils. Like I am trying to go as high as I possibly can so that there is not this weird band in between. I'm going to reestablish her part just so I kind of know where I'm at.
Yes.
I did both the same things on both sides, but I have not tipped this out, so I probably will also go and do that exact same thing that I did on the front foil on the already begun pieces. And then I'm going to just work up from the sides and do just a few foils to break this up. Okay. And then we'll see if I want to tip out maybe
anything like back there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The placement around the face was what I did, but then after the money piece and the tipping out, I did just an inch back coming from both sides, and then I did like a tiny little tip out piece on both sides, mostly the ends that I tucked up just to insulate some heat. Then I'm going to put a towel over her and check in about 20 minutes. And this is the final look. I think it still looks very natural, although she does have that money piece. You can tell it's not super thick at the top, which I like, but she's definitely summer ready.